안녕하세요. 연세
Greetings, I'm Dr. Sungyu Lee, Yonsei with Dental Clinic. It is my pleasure to meet you through this OSSTEM Implants Master Course. Today, I'm going to talk about abutment level impression taking. The purpose of taking impressions is to fabricate final prosthesis, or through impression taking, gypsum model is made, and on the model, abutment can be selected or fabricated. The third purpose is on the model, temporary prosthesis can be fabricated. The last purpose of implant impression taking is to fabricate individual custom tray, which is called open tray. So those are the purposes of implant impression taking. Before we talk about implant impression taking, let's talk about the differences between natural teeth and implants. Natural teeth have periodontal ligament. So even though there are some errors in the prosthesis, PDL can compensate for minor inaccuracies through teeth movement, but implants have osseointegration, which makes the implant immobile, which can be threatening to implants. For accurate impression taking, accurate gypsum model can be created, which can lead to accurate prosthesis, and ultimately, it will bring successful implant prosthesis. For successful implant prosthesis, passive fit between an implant and prosthesis is very important. The significance of passive fit: the final implant prosthesis will reflect the errors. When the prosthesis is delivered to a patient, continuous fatigue can be accumulated, harmful to the implant. When this happens, around the implant, alveolar bone would be resorbed. In the worst case, osseointegration can fail. And when the unfavorable prosthesis is delivered, superstructure can fail or become fractured, and the screw between an abutment and implant can be loosened or fractured. Not a very good situation. According to articles, passive fit, absolute passive fit cannot be achieved. So we need to aim for optimum fit. So at each step of implant procedures, we need to pay attention to it. And there are many factors associated with the implant impression. A single case has no problem, but when impression needs to be taken of multiple implants, whether implant impression copings would be splinted or not can make a big difference in the result. So are the directions of implants placed, whether parallel or angulated. Also, impression materials can make the difference. Stuck abutments or abutments, direct versus indirect impression taking can also make a difference. Implant impression can be divided into two: abutment level and implant level. Today, I'm going to talk about abutment level impression taking. Direct impression can be taken after a stuck abutment is connected or installed in the mouth. Or, for indirect impression taking, a stuck abutment is connected and a stock impression plastic cap is connected to the abutment before impression is taken, and the plastic cap would be included in the impression. There are two implant level impressions: pickup and transfer. Abutment level impression, there are two approaches: indirect and direct impression taking. Indirect. A stuck abutment is connected in the mouth, and a stuck impression plastic cap fitting the abutment is connected before taking impression. In the impression, the plastic cap would be included. Direct impression taking. It is similar to taking natural tooth impression. A stuck abutment or custom abutment can be connected in the mouth and impression is taken. Indirect impression photos. A stuck abutment is connected in the mouth, and this is the OSSTEM stuck plastic impression cap. After connecting it, impression is taken, and in the impression material, the impression cap is included, and inside, the stuck lab analog can be connected. A direct impression taking method. This is the same as taking impression of a natural tooth. A stock abutment or custom abutment is connected, and implant impression can be taken directly. Implant level impression. As I said before, transfer type and pickup type. There are two types. The transfer type is using a closed tray, and the pickup type uses an open type which has a hole in the tray. Implant level impressions. If you look at here, this is the transfer type. This is connected in the tray, and the implant information is included when the gypsum model is made. Pickup type. Pickup impression copings. These are the impression copings, and the pin is coming out of the tray. The impression material in the impression tray hold the impression coping, so they all come out together. The result is the same as the transfer time, in that implant information is incorporated in a model. There are many things necessary for implant impression taking. First, impression materials. Polyvinous siloxane is usually used today. Tray. Closed tray, as I said before, for transfer type, and open type for pickup impression taking. Impression copings, pickup type, transfer type. And implant copy, lab analog, is also necessary. When using a stock abutment, a stock abutment is needed, and for indirect impression taking, a stock plastic impression coping can be necessary. Trays. As I said before, two types, closed and open. For closed tray, usually stock trays are used. Metal and plastic trays are available for stock trays. Plastic trays are disposable, which can be more hygienic. Open tray, it is usually called custom tray. It can be made with a normal plastic tray with holes made with a denture burr. The open tray is only for the pickup type implant level impression taking. Lab analog has two types. One, a stock abutment is copied, which is a lab analog. The second, the implant, is copied as a lab analog. Which one to use can be decided by a dentist depending on stock abutment level or implant level impression taking. Implant level impression taking. OSSTEM provides 3 different diameters of implants, mini, regular, and wide. And they have different lab analogs and pickup type impression copings. So stock abutments and screws would be different depending on them. Therefore, the abutment level impression taking requires all of these components. Now, let me talk about the abutment level impression taking. In the mouth, already a stock abutment is connected, or a custom abutment is connected to take impression. Abutment level impression taking has advantages and disadvantages. Advantages include it is a familiar and convenient method, as it is the same as taking a natural tooth impression taking, and prosthetic setting can be made very accurately. Disadvantages: if an abutment needs to be modified quite a lot, this abutment level impression taking is not appropriate. Depending on the depth and angulation of an implant placed, the selection of abutments can be different, and it is not easy to choose an abutment in the mouth. Advantages: once again, it is a familiar and convenient impression taking method because it is the same as a natural tooth impression taking or a stock abutment, and using a plastic impression coping, impression can be taken, so it is not a challenging procedure to perform. Second, it is easy to fabricate a prosthesis. For indirect impression taking, a stock lab analog is installed on the model like this. For a direct impression taking, the model is made with a stock abutment shape. If you look at this example, impression of a natural tooth and implant abutment can be taken together, which is an advantage. For cementation, it is the same as cementing a natural tooth, so this can be cemented. On the abutment level, an impression is taken, so there is a cement gap that can be used for accurate prosthetic setting. A disadvantage: in the anterior region, the implant hole is buccally positioned. Then in the mouth, it is difficult to choose a stock abutment. When a stock abutment is used, it should be prepared to modify the abutment, so that is the difficulty. Second, implants are not placed in parallel. And in the mouth, if an angled abutment or straight stock abutment are used, it is not easy to select them while a patient keeps opening his or her mouth and we are pressed by time. Multiple implants, they have different angulations, and choosing stock abutments in the mouth is very challenging. Abutment level has 2 types, direct and indirect. For direct impression taking, plastic cap is used for impression taking. The plastic cap is coming out with the impression material. Plastic caps are included in the impression material, and stock lab analogs are inserted in them to make gypsum model. The advantage is there is no risk of fracture. For stock abutment level impression taking, direct impression taking, gypsum is poured into the impression. When the gypsum is detached, the model can be fractured here. But in the indirect approach, the metal stock lab analog is used, so there is no risk of fracture. Second, A stock lab analog is already connected, and the margin can be accurately captured in the indirect approach. In the direct impression taking, the margin should be identified by us, and we need to trim the model accordingly. This is the process. Healing abutment is removed, a stock abutment is connected, the plastic cap is connected, an impression is taken. As I said before, in the impression material, the plastic cap would be contained. A lab analog is connected. Gypsum is poured in to make a model. In the indirect impression taking, a stock abutment is connected and a stock plastic impression coping is connected, considering the hex direction. In the indirect impression taking, inside the impression, the plastic impression copy is picked up. Direct impression taking, in general, it is the same as natural tooth impression taking. The impression taking is very simple. Unlike the indirect method, a plastic cap is not needed, and the stock lab analog is not required. Therefore, the cost is low. However, it's very difficult to capture the margins, so accuracy is lower. Direct impression taking is used in 3 cases. First, supragingival margin abutment. Second, custom abutment, not stock abutment, is made and impression can be taken. Third, a stock abutment is reduced in the mouth. Then indirect approach cannot be used. Only direct impression can be taken. This is an example. The margin is above the gum. Capturing the margin is easier when direct impression taking is used. In the posterior region, like this, supramargin would provide better hygiene. So, impression taking can be done just like impression taking of a natural tooth. Custom abutment can be fabricated, not stock abutments. Impression taking can be done directly. Healing abutment is removed. Transfer type impression coping is connected and impression is taken. In a lab, custom abutments are fabricated and delivered to mouth. After direct impression taking, final zirconia prosthesis can be made very accurately. If an abutment is reduced, a direct impression taking should be done because a stock lab analog based on a stock plastic cap is a copy of an abutment not reduced. So an abutment is reduced in height or on the side. The lab analog will not work. So direct impression taking is the only option here. If implants have different paths to make a one-piece prosthesis, the path should be aligned, so they need to be reduced in the mouth. Thus, indirect impression taking will not work. So it's angled, and if it is reduced, direct impression taking is the only option. Today, digital impression taking is used by more and more dental offices. Abutment level digital impression taking based on scan data acquired through intraoral scanner, such as OSSTEM Trios 4, after abutment is connected to an implant. Final prosthesis is fabricated based on scanned abutment data. Prosthesis can be fabricated by matching the scanned data with the stock abutment product library made by OSSTEM. The same goes for the custom abutments, whether they are made by a lab or in a dental clinic. The design abutment file would exist so they can be matched with the product library. Digital. A stock abutment is connected to an implant, and after it is scanned using an intraoral scanner in a CAD program, it is matched with the library. Without making a gypsum model, implant prosthesis can be fabricated. The same goes for custom abutments. Regardless of where they are made, in a lab or dental office, there should exist an abutment design file that can be matched with a library for accurate prosthesis. Summary: abutment level impression taking has some caveats. In the mouth, appropriate final abutment selection is not easy. It's okay with a single case, but for a multiple case, these need to be selected while a patient is opening his or her mouth, which is a disadvantage. So in a normal multiple implant case, using stock abutments, implant level impression should be taken first. Gypsum model should be made, on which abutments need to be selected. Abutment level direct and indirect impression taking advantages and disadvantages. Direct impression does not use a plastic impression cap or lab analogs. Therefore, impression taking is simple and the cost is lower. However, margin capturing is challenging, leading to lower accuracy in prosthesis. Indirect impression taking. Dedicated components need to be used for impression taking, so gypsum model is more accurate. However, because of the components, the cost increases. If stock abutment is reduced, indirect approach cannot be used. That is a downside. Briefly, I delivered the master course online. In offline course, more in-depth abutment level impression taking will be explained through hands-on. I believe dentists will be able to understand more accurately how to acquire abutment level impression. Thank you.